Hi students, the next recipe in our series is Crusty Potato and Tarragon cake. Unfortunately I couldn't get tarragon at the supermarket, so I got sage instead. And the ingredients that you will need are olive oil, cream, butter, onion, potato, and of course your tarragon or sage. The first thing you've got to do is peel your potatoes. Now, I've already started this just for the sake of saving some video time. So I'm using a peeler to peel the potato. You'll see that the potato's got some rot in there, so you want to cut that out as well. You want to get rid of that. Definitely don't want that in your potato cake. So take out as much of the brown as possible. Okay, so I'm actually doing peeling my potato in cold water in a bowl because I've already got my sink filled with the washing up water, as you know. So I've done my 2 potatoes. I'll just put my bowl aside there to do that at the end. And I'm going to use the box grater and grate from this side. The other thing you need to remember is that you will be separating your egg. It doesn't actually say on the recipe, and I don't know why, but you have to separate your egg from your egg yolk because you will be whisking your egg whites. Now, actually, I do need my bowl to put my potato into. So, luckily for me, I've got 2 sinks, and I can just get rid of my potato skins. Now, if you've got a garden, compost, please compost your potato skins. I'm sure your parents will love you for that. If not, like me, into the bin. You can actually do a recipe with potato skins as well. You can parboil them and deep fry them. But for today's recipe, we are just going to get rid of our potato skins out the way, because that's not the part of the potato we will be using. So I'm just reusing my bowl. I'm going to put my grated potato into that bowl. Now, what you need to do once you've done this is actually extract as much of the moisture out of the potato as is possible. Potatoes generally have a lot of moisture in there, so you will need a clean tea towel. I've already chopped my onion, and the onion needs to be finely chopped. I've noticed in some of your videos that you are doing really well chopping those onions, but try and get them as small as you possibly can without cutting your fingers, of course. Okay, so I'll put all that in the bowl. For now, you'll see there's quite a bit of water that's come out of the potato. I use a food processor for this. It will be just a little bit quicker, but then you will have a bit more washing up to do if you have a food processor. If not, most of you will have a grater. It takes a bit of muscle to do this. Those of you who are good at sport might find that just a little bit easier. You've built up your forearm in sport like tennis, badminton, anything along those lines, cricket. If you end up with just lumps of potato like that at the end, and 2 very, very small pieces, just throw them away because they will not cook in the way that we need them to cook. Okay, so into my tablecloth, I'm going to put all of my potato. And my grater straight into the washing up water. Remember, working tidily as you can. So taking off. All you do is roll up your potato. Now, one hand one way, one hand the other way, over your bowl, and just keep twisting and twisting. And you'll see that the water is starting to drip out of your potatoes. So if you keep, again, using your muscle and getting out as much moisture as you possibly can. You can do this actually with a sibling or a parent. They hold one end and you twist in the opposite direction. Makes it a lot easier than me struggling to do it on my own here. You can see how much water has come out of the potato. So I'm just going to re-wipe that because I need the bowl again. And I'm just going to leave the potato in there for now until I whisk up my egg yolk. And actually, I've already got some egg white in the fridge here. So I can actually be whisking up this egg white, and keeping the yolk separately. Now it says 2 teaspoons of olive oil in a small frying pan over heat to saute the onion. Saute really just means frying. So I'm going to use my frying pan, switch on my stove. I'm going to measure 2 teaspoons. Oops, where's my teaspoon? 2 teaspoons of olive oil into pan. You notice I switched the pan on because you really need the olive oil to be hot before you put the onion into it. Don't put it into the cold oil, it will take a bit longer to cook. So 2 teaspoons of oil into my pan. I've already chopped my onion ready for that one. And it says stir over a medium heat from time to time for about 8 to 10 minutes and then set it aside to cool. And just be aware of the 8 to 10 minutes. Depending on how quick your stove is, it could be a quicker process. It may be a longer process. Generally though, it will be maybe about 6 to 7 minutes. I'm going to use my wooden spoon. And because that's going to take 8 to 10 minutes, I'm going to come back with that completed. Okay, as before, as I said, take the grated potato out of the towel when you've squeezed out as much of the liquid as possible. Now it's at the stage where it says do this really quickly, and the reason for that is your potato will start to discolour. There's no problem with that. It just discolours because it's being submitted to the air, so it's going to oxidise and turn colour. So after you've put your potato into the bowl, you need to mix in the onion cream, tarragon, but in this case, as I said, I'm using sage. Make sure you chop your sage or chop your tarragon. So it's essentially just put all your ingredients in with the potato, except the egg. The egg yolk you separate. Egg yolk into the potato, egg white you whisk. So it's 2 tablespoons of pouring cream. I've got quite thick cream. Whoops, just a little bit in there. Making sure I get all of that in. And cleaning around the edges of the cream. As you can see, I'm cleaning as I go. Makes cleanup a lot easier at the end. And then put that in the bin. And again, cream's a perishable item, so it goes straight into the fridge once you've finished using it. Over here, I have my onion, so that also goes into the mixture. It's cooled, so I cooked the onion and it didn't take 8 to 10 minutes. It really was so much quicker. So just be careful of that. My pan's already cool, so I can put my hands in there. And you'll notice I'm wearing gloves as well, just so I can really mix it up quite well using the gloves. So into here I've got my onion cream, tarragon, or in my case sage, my egg yolk, and then of course we do need to season with salt and pepper. Just use, making sure that when you do this, put your hand over first. That way you're not pouring too much pepper in, and if the top does come off, your hand catches most of it. It doesn't go into your ingredients and get wasted. I do love pepper, so put quite a bit of pepper in there. Now I've also turned on my oven, which is something that the method doesn't tell you what to do. So put on my oven to preheat, because these do need to be cooked into the oven. I've also got my tray lined with my egg rings. Now if you don't have egg rings, don't worry. You can just form balls with this. This really just keeps them all much to the same shape. So into here, I've got all the ingredients except the egg white. I'm just giving those a good mix round. Mix it all together, make sure you evenly distribute your cream, your egg yolk, and of course your tarragon. Smells quite good. The herbs just give it so much fragrance. Beautiful. So you mix it until you get this kind of consistency where it looks like your herbs are quite evenly distributed. Now, while I was off camera, I also whisked my egg whites because this makes really quite some noise. And I did it using my blender here and in a bowl. Now, if you do have a Hobart mixer, a larger mixer, you can use that. You can also do it by hand. It is only one egg white. However, I did have more egg whites in the fridge, so I've added a bit more to that, so that's why it looks a bit more than yours will. And when you've whisked it, make sure, now that started to, make sure it peaks like that. You should be able to, and don't try this, but you should be able to hold it above your head and it not fall in your head. But as I said, we're not going to try it. Now, because I've already done that, make sure you switch the power off at the wall before you take out your beaters. Okay, into there, to this mixture, you place all your egg white. Do it with my hand, it's so much quicker. Wash my hands afterwards, of course. Now again, like the last recipe that we did, we folded, actually if you watched the chewy chocolate chip cookies recipe, I taught you how to fold properly, and that was to bring your spoon around the edge, through the middle, around the edge and through the middle. And you keep doing that until all of the egg white has been incorporated into the potato. So it's round the edge and through the middle. Your mixture will start to become lighter, as in, not as in colour lighter, but as in feel just a little bit lighter. Make sure that you get all your mixture in. It's a good idea to wear gloves because you can constantly not feel that you have to keep washing your hands all the time. But keep doing that. Okay. So that should be your mixture ready to go into your rings. These are egg rings. So again, if you don't have them, don't worry, you can just put round shapes onto there. And the actual recipe says to use a pastry brush. Oh, my oven's ready. A pastry brush and use the olive oil. However, I think it's just a little bit quicker if you've got some canola spray. These egg rings here are non-stick, so they're quite good, but these ones, they will stick, so make sure over your sink that you are spraying the non-stick ones as well, just for consistency. And then you start to fill. Now this is where the gloves come in handy, because you can just, using the gloves or using your hands, fill your potato cakes. I think I'm going to have too much mixture. Okay, you keep going and then pop them into the oven for 35 minutes. Before you do though, you do dot them with some butter on top. Now I'll keep going and finishing that. Okay, the potato cakes have been put into the oven for 35 minutes. Whilst they're in the oven, I'm going to do my cleaning up and we'll see what they're like when they come out. Ooh. The potato cakes aren't quite ready yet. They've still got another 7 minutes to cook. So using your oven glove, get them out the oven and just, if your egg rings don't come off easily, just holding your egg ring with a pair of tongs, just run a knife round the outside and they should come off, like so. And the reason you do that is you want the edges to crisp up of the potato cake. come out quite easily. I did have a little bit of mixture left over and I didn't have rings for, so they will end up looking like that. Just pop them over and hopefully the bit that was on the base will crisp up as well. And I can feel actually by just running my knife into these potato cakes that they're not quite cooked as yet. So make sure that the non-stick ones are sticking more than the sticking ones. Interesting. Remember, these are going to be quite hot, so do use tongs. Have to flip that one over to try and get it loose. There we go. Eventually, get it all off. And just turn them over to dry them on the other side. And back in the oven for another 7 minutes according to my timer. Okay, here are my finished potato and sage cakes instead of tarragon. Made sure that my oven is off. I've made sure I've done all my dishes. They're all cleaned, put away. I've just got this tray left to do, which I will do. This was the potato cake that didn't have the egg ring around it. You could see it didn't retain the shape quite as well as these ones did. These actually look better, but they'll all taste the same. So if you can get some way of creating a circle if you don't have egg rings, maybe using a glass round them like somebody did with the pastry just before they go in the oven, if they retain their shape, all well and good. So crispy potato, or crusty rather, not crispy, crusty potato and tarragon cakes. I hope you enjoy them.